Yeah, I know, it's a different world, but it's still me, and welcome to another episode of the SNES Geek Show. Now let's roll the intro! It's time. I'm back.
Change. One word, one meaning. It is one of the most provocative words to say. It has plenty of times made people react in a negative way. It is important to dare to try. Too unfamiliar territory can make even the mightiest of men shiver and fear and think it should have never ever changed. That is what became to be when Mario Party changed. It was a beloved franchise. It used to be a system seller. Every Nintendo gamer wanted them. It was really at its peak between Game 1 through 7. Game 8 was so much more mixed than ever before. It was in shambles. Reviewers hated and tore it apart, claiming it to be one of the worst at the time. That's where change came in. It was going to happen eventually, after lying dormant for 5 years with no game after 8. 9 was released and proved to be heading in a direction people weren't fond of. Did they change the game for number 10? No, but it was a step up from number 9. It surely was. Well, at least the number of screens. So after going through the usual setting, it is finally time to embark at the first map and the one in this video, Mushroom Park. Upon deciding the turn order, not through a dice but through an arrow, the turns have been decided and it's about time to embark on a grand adventure. In a car. What? No matter, I bet it's going to be like normal. It begins and the first dice is rolled. It only goes up to 6, and just remember to keep an eye on the Wii U gamepad where Bowser's held prisoner. Why? We will never know. Just make sure to not roll all the numbers 1 through 6, because that's when things goes up on 3 separate points. There's checkpoints containing a set number of stars which are given to the player who passes right through them. 3, 5, and 10. There are even minus variations which you don't want to get, as they take away your hard-earned mini-stars, and that is going to be your method of winning. However, unlike other Mario parties where you play minigames at the end of each and every turn, and they aren't determined by the placements in the slightest. What you will notice is the gamepad, which is separate from the TV screen, since this is hardly used. Kinda strange, but not uncommon. Like every Mario Party game, the minigame setting varies. Controls and goals change depending on the varying factors. Just make sure you have Wiimote and the Wii Sensible ready for minigame action. Your final placement in the end grants you more mini-stars the higher you place. The minigames themselves varies from skillful to luck-based, from action to waiting. Lots of variety here. There are versus spaces and random spaces. You don't always know when it happens. There are moments when you get to pick one minigame. About 1/3 of the way through, you will be forced into a mini castle fight by Bowser Jr. Had to play mini boss to pass through, and whoever is in first gets to pick one. Every fight plays out the same way, just attacks as much as possible until a halfway point. Now it gets hard. No one have won, but now I will. If it only was the case, well, it is a variation. There's nothing. The boss itself doesn't change. The only thing added are more enemies. Beating the boss with the most hits is required to win the most stars. Something based on lucks are also special dice blocks located at spaces and houses. It is 1 and 0 as well as 4 and 6. Random spaces will give you different outcomes. Bowser Jr. has his own space, and it is disastrous if you land, as you will lose your mini-stars. Sadly, holding on to them is like holding on to your marriage. It's hard. All of the numbers were hit and he breaks free from his prison, and the current captain of the car loses half of his mini-stars to Bowser. They go absolutely nowhere. He takes them and nothing more. Why? Do something, man! Well, he certainly do something. He's sapping regular spaces into his own. You will be faced with a Bowser event when you stop at any of them. After Many attempts of getting rich, we are at the final stretch, and as you can see, I'm not in the lead. Shocking, I know, but I'm a father whom keeping an optimistic look, so hopeful my hard work will pay off. So let's keep the positivity and talk about the graphics, which I will say looks really good. It is undoubtedly a pretty colorful game. Lots of details on essentially everything. The characters have great animation. There's always something going on in the background. It's just never stale. It just feels like a world being lived in. Bowser is the best looking character in the entire game. His body looks so cool and his scales have such a nice detail. But for being the first Mario Party on an HD console, it just had to look good. And it thankfully delivered. It is now time for the final choice of the boss fight and all fights. Peter Piranha with his huge mouth is about to drop some F-bombs. Not far from the truth. With your Wiimote, you will throw bombs, hitting him as many times as possible. But be careful, he will catch them and deal you damage, taking points away. But does he deserve it? Is it possible that we are the villains? Does he have a wife, a kid, a job? But we won't know since he's dead. At the end of the game, bonus stars are given out to whomever has fulfilled the requirements. You cannot know what the categories are, and there's only 2 sets being dealt out. Sadly, despite my performance being flawless, I didn't take the trophy. What a sad day.
Whoa, what an anticlimax that ended up being. And something else that ends up happening right now is Christmas, since it is December. But do not worry, I will not stop. I will be uploading a few more videos before this year is over. Merry Christmas, everyone!